It's December 31st, 2025. Nobody talks about the moments and the feelings that you feel for the widows and widowers that lead up to the days of your spouse's transition. So December 31st last year, and I just felt led to kind of talk about it a little bit. Because I'm feeling all, kinds of things. I've been kind of keeping myself busy all day. Just so that I didn't really have to. And my face is red because I'm just went and got me something to eat. And I'm just not feeling like cooking or whatever. But December 31st of last year was the day that everything basically started. My husband was supposed to have start up his chemo on the 31st of last year. And when I took him, I will never forget that day. He was very sick. His eyes were very yellow. His stomach was very swollen. He was out of breath. He was very tired. And so he was sick. He was very sick. And I don't know why I said and. But I took him to the Cancer Institute to start his treatment. And I remember the nurse looking at him and was like, "Oh, Mr. Ashley, you look really sick." And I'm like, let me turn some light on. There we go. I'm about to pull up. But she was like, "You look really sick. And honestly, I do not feel comfortable moving forward with this chemo today." Because he hadn't had chemo in a little while. Yes, I still got my head in because I'm tired. So he hadn't had chemo in a little while. And he was supposed to be starting his rounds back up. And so she was like, "I'm going to take your blood, see, make sure your levels are good. If your levels are good, then we'll go ahead and get the chemo started. But then I'm going to have the doctor look at it first." So it's like, cool, no problem. So we sat there, took his blood. We talked a little bit. He was so tired. And she came back. So excuse me if I seem a little emotional, because this is like my first time really talking about this. So she came back and she was like, "Yeah, your white blood cell count is extremely high. It looks like you have an infection. So we're not going to move forward with the chemo. But I do need you to head straight to the hospital." And I'm like, okay, I'm grateful that the nurse wasn't just doing it for, you know what I mean? Some nurses probably would have just went ahead and did it, not even paid no attention to the client, to the patient. I don't know. But she was very conscious of him. She was very concerned the way he looked and everything like that. And so he was like, okay. Now, normally my husband was very stubborn and you couldn't hardly get him to do anything. But this day, I think he was just very tired. And so he was like, okay, no problem. So We went home. Well, as we were riding home, he was, hold on, he was recording a video on Facebook, but since then the video has been deleted. Dog it. Shoot. My dad's calling. So hold on. My dad was calling. I'll call him back in a second, because I don't want to make this video too long. And he's probably just calling to check on me. So excuse me, anybody that know me, I ain't out here for the sympathy or any of that kind of stuff. I'm here more as a person to bring awareness. It's so important as African Americans, as black people, as black men, especially black people, and especially black men, that we take our health so serious. This is kind of like a PSA for black men, because he ended up, he passed away from colon cancer. Not that women don't get it, because I'm sure they do. I'm sure you can get any kind of cancer. But because men are so hard to pay attention to their bodies, and they refuse to go to doctor's appointments when they need to, a lot of times, a lot of these sicknesses in men, they're caught so late because they don't pay attention to their bodies. And women, we kind of pay attention to our bodies more than men do. But anyways, that's not what this is about. Darn. But anyway, and I ain't edited this. He was, I normally have tissues. He was recording a video, Facebook Live, I believe it was a live or whatever. And he was just, through the whole journey, my husband was always very faith driven. It ain't like he got sick and he decided like he wanted to live for Christ. No. If you knew my husband, that was his main goal all the time. Christ, 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 Christ. He was his salvation was his thing. Winning souls was his thing. But anyways, I'm emotional because today marks a very monumental moment of the next couple of days. Alright, so he was recording a live video, and majority of the people that knew us, oh God, hold on y'all. Alright, we're gonna try this again. So he was recording a live. I don't really remember a lot of what the live was. Well, I know it was more of encouraging people to stay with Christ, telling them that the doctor wanted him to go to the ER because, his white blood cell count was high, which indicated an infection, which showed that his liver had started to, fail. And with having the colon cancer, the cancer had spread from his colon to his liver, and to his kidneys or whatever. So I mean, not his kidneys, from his liver and his, I want to say his lungs. I'm not gonna lie, I blocked out a lot of different things, but I'm pretty sure it was his lungs. There's like a moth flying in my car. But anyway, so he was recording a live, blah blah blah. And in the live, I remember him saying, he said something about his wife, and I was like, hey. And I remember his sister, after he passed, she was looking for it, but they had already taken the live down or whatever. But had I known that it was going to be his last live stream, I would have saved it. But this was December 31st of last year, and I did not know. So he was very tired. I had to come home because I needed to the kids were in school and my parents were here. My parents had been here since like a week or maybe like a couple of days up to a week before Christmas. So my parents were here and I had to come home to get the chargers for our phones, something to eat. Like I was like, just preparing book bag, just getting necessities to keep us, because I knew that they were going to keep him. You know what I mean? Because he was sick. I thought that they were just going to drain his stomach because he had been getting the paracentesis for the past, like, let's say, month. I thought they were going to drain his stomach, give him antibiotics. He was going to be in the hospital for a few days like he had been for Thanksgiving, and we were going to come home and life was going to commence as usual. Well, that's what I was used to. So went home, got everything I needed out the house. My dad was in the house. I talked to my dad. I was like, hey, I gotta run him to the hospital. I don't know how long we'll be, but I'll call you with the updates or whatever. Get in the car. He was kind of hungry, and he had kind of been eating Bojangles, the bow rounds. He loved the Bojangle bow rounds. He was always like, babe, did you taste the bow rounds from Bojangles? They so good. So I was like, he's hungry, so let me go get him the Bojangle bow rounds. And so went to Bojangles, got him the bow rounds. I think he ate one or two. They're like this big there, and the bow rounds are like hash browns, and they're really big and they're seasoned. So I think he ate like one or two, and then I was like, I'll just keep it with me or whatever. So we ended up going to, because he said he did not want to go to Piedmont. So we ended up going to Emory in Decatur. And to this day, I'm unable to go over there in that area. So as we're driving, it came to me, I need to call his best friend. So I called his best friend, Brian, and his wife, and they were talking to him, and it was like he was so tired. His voice was so light. It was so light. And they were praying for him, encouraging him, So I told them I'd get him a call when we got to the hospital, and blah blah blah, whatever. We get to the hospital, and for a minute it was like he had gained some type of strength, because he was so mean and mad that we had to wait. I mean, we're at a hospital, so we ain't the only sick people there. So I kept telling him, babe, we're not the only sick people. You're not the only sick person here. We had to wait. So they took his blood. They brought him back. They had us in triage, and then they pulled the curtain around it. He ripped the curtain back. Hey man, I need to see a doctor. Like, what's up? Y'all not gonna have me sitting up in here? It's New Year's Eve and I want to go home with my kids and my family. He was ready to go home. So one of a ER doctor passed by, and he was like, what's going on? And he was like, I've been sitting up here, I'm tired, I want to go home. Whatever y'all got to do, y'all need to do. He had gotten this little fire about him. So the doctor was like, okay, let me go check or whatever. But they ended up saying, oh yeah, your levels are all haywire, so we need to admit you. And they brought us back, and then we were in the ER for a couple of hours, and they took him for a paracentesis because his stomach was so swollen. So if I hadn't explained that, paracentesis is when you have liver failure and your liver is not filtering out the necessary toxins that it needs to in order to clear itself, like when you pee and everything like that. So his liver was holding all of that in, and so he was not clearing it out. So his stomach was so round. Like, you can look it up and see people that go through that, and it'll show you their eyes turn white, or their eyes turn yellow, because it shows liver failure. Their stomach is swollen. They look a good 6, 7, 8 months pregnant, because they full of fluid. And when they get it taken out, then their stomach goes somewhat back to a normal state. So anyway, they took him for a paracentesis. Sitting there where he felt better, but his levels were still crazy. Anyway, yeah. And then they told us that they were going to get us a room. And in that state of mind for them that have liver failure and things like that, it begins to mess with their they begin to hallucinate some, and it began to kind of not act like themselves and see certain things and do certain things that are not like them, because it's toxic, it's septic. They become septic. So he would say, like, we were at the hospital, I remember him saying to me, but he was watching I think he was watching The Rookie, and I've never seen it, but I know it's like a cop show. And whatever episode it was, he was like, babe, I do not want to be a police officer. And in my head, I'm like, you ain't got to worry about being a police officer. I just need you to worry about getting better so we can go home and get up out this hospital. Because if you know me, I hate hospitals myself. I grew up, I was very sickly. So I stayed in the hospital. And that night was the beginning of everything. And I'm going to close this with, we got into a room. And he said he was hungry, and the cafe was open. We got into a room. It was late. The cafe was open. And so I called my parents. They were privy to everything. His family was privy to everything. Everybody close to us was privy to everything that was going on. He said he was hungry, and his favorite thing was burgers. So I got clearance from the doctor that he could eat. And so I went down to the cafe, and I got us 2 burgers and fries and everything like that. And came back up and, you know, get him situated, you know, wash his hands, clean him up, you know, sit him up, everything that needed to be done. And we start eating. And maybe he took 2 bites, maybe. And within the 2 bites, he just threw it all up. And that's not him. And that let me know something was very wrong with him. And that he was very sick, because there was no reason for him to not eat, in my eyes, in his eyes. But I think that was the beginning of him slowly transitioning, because after that, I couldn't get him to eat. But anyways, what I think I'm going to do, and I'm not sure, because it will be hard, but maybe a good thing. I think maybe every day I may just talk a little bit about every day up until the day he transitioned. I don't know. But anyways, I'm in my feelings very, very hard today. Tonight, I got watch night service. So, and I'm still going to church. We did not get a chance. Of course, he was in hospital. So we prayed the new year in. Let me say that. We prayed the new year in. I was on the phone with his sisters up all the way up until like maybe a little bit after 12 midnight. We brought the new year in with his sisters on the phone. And, but tonight I have service. I'm going to go in. I'm going to eat a little bit. And I'm going to just try and I don't know. Just try and not be so into my feelings, but kind of be into my feelings so that I identify. I'm hurt. I'm extremely sad. My cousin just texted me and said, don't forget about church. LOL. I won't, Crystal. I'm so thankful for my cousin Crystal and my sister-in-law Jennifer, my sister. They have been there for me. They've been that, of course, my parents, but they have been that shield, other than Christ, of course, that have kept me, held me up. But yeah, I'm feeling all the feelings. I'm feeling all the feelings. Oh, it's so heavy right now, and I'm so hopeful that when I get to church, that the Lord releases this heaviness off of me, because I need Him to. Anyways, that is a bit of a widow's corner. I'll probably drop it on Living with the Spectrum as well. Widow's corner, all of that. Y'all pray for me. I pray for y'all. Happy New Year. I love you, but most of all, God loves you more. And my whole mantra, even if I don't say it, is if I can help one through anything that I'm going through, whether it be living with the spectrum with my children that have autism, or me just talking about my journey as being a widow and being in widowhood, then I've done what I've come to do, which is to help. So anyways, but I know God has more for me, and I'm standing on His promises, because His promises are yea and amen. I pray that you guys have an amazing New Year. I pray that God keeps us all from the crazy, and that find yourself in the church. If you can't, pray it in. Bring your New Year in with Christ. All right. I love you, but like I said, most of all, God loves you more. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.